would consider this technique more of a pinching technique than a coil building technique, because we're not really using coils, we're using donuts. Because who doesn't like donuts more than coils, right? Now normally during in-person classes you guys would be rolling on the floor with laughter with all of my jokes. You just have to be laughing to yourself in your apartment while you're coil building, and I appreciate it, and I can hear you through the internet. All right, so this looks pretty good. At this point here, I'm going to rib the outside again. I always want to make sure that I have my left hand on the inside to support it, and I'm being very, very gentle at this point, okay? So this looks pretty darn good now. I'm happy with it. At this point here, I'm looking right across it, and it's leaning a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just scooch it that way just a bit. And you guys can see, whoop, it's floppy. The whole thing is floppy. So I'm going to be done working on this. I'm going to leave it uncovered for a few hours. Now, it's still in my basement, okay? And it's very, very humid down here in my basement. So I'm going to leave it uncovered for now. I might stick it outside in the sun. If you guys are having problems with your pieces drying, taking too long to dry, then just go ahead and stick them outside so that the sun will dry them a little bit. Do not forget about them. If they're in the sun, it's going to take a lot less time for your pieces to dry. Okay. Of course, make sure that you upload process videos to the discussion board. Go to D2L, and it has all of the information right there in the module, and just post any questions you have regarding the building process in the discussion board also, because if you have that question, then chances are other people might have that question also. Okay. If you email me, I will direct it right to the discussion board. I will tell you to go to the discussion board. So don't bother emailing me questions. Go to the discussion board. Okay. Talk to you soon. Hey everybody. So it's been a little while. It's probably been about 6 hours. It's really humid down here in my basement, and my piece is still pretty soft. Okay. So things to keep in mind here. I'm gonna build the rest of this as a time lapse, so you can see how I go about it. But if you look inside, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Hold on a second. There we go. It's pretty smooth. Okay. I spent a bit of time smoothing it. It's still pretty soft, but I'm going to do the rest as a time lapse so you can see the rest of the build. All right, so that is more or less roughed in. I'm going to let it dry overnight. See, it's sitting right here. It's pretty floppy right now, so it's really humid down here in my basement. So things are taking a really long time to dry, but the piece is more or less roughed in. What I'm going to do is leave it uncovered overnight. And then tomorrow I'll worry about the finishing details and that kind of thing, as far as the surface and then the rim. Okay, so I'll see you guys then. All right, everybody. So this is the next morning. I worked on it for just a little bit already before I realized that I needed to video some stuff for you. So, I mean, all I did was just clean up around the neck a little bit and squeezed it in. But before I started sort of work, it's still very soft. Okay. But I am going to fix the irregularities on the rim. Something that I want you guys to keep in mind when you're working on these is that These are not IKEA pots. Okay, you um, you will have some irregularities, and that's fine. So if it's a little bit irregular, that's okay. Now for your rim, when you have this irregularity, all I'm going to do is take small amounts of clay. Let me see if I can do this one-handed while I'm holding the camera. Small amounts of clay and blend that in to the rim. And then I'm going to use my finger like this to press that down. Now if you have any sections that are significantly higher than other sections, then you can just trim them off, or you can fill in the low sections. It's up to you. But I'm going to do that all the way around the whole rim to make it smooth, and then blend all that together. Then I'm going to let it get leather hard, so that it's dry enough that I can clean the surface up and add any slip. Hey everybody. So this has been maybe 2 days that my piece has been sort of drying a bit. It's leather hard now, and the surface has got some irregularities on it. You have two options. So I'm going to leave some of this because I like these kind of surface marks, these process marks. But if you want it to be very smooth, this is the time to do it when it's leather hard. It won't move anymore. It's, remember your dairy equivalencies. It's about the consistency of like a very sharp cheddar cheese. So if I bend this, it will break. Okay, so it doesn't bend anymore. I can pick it up easily. So at this point here, if you want to make it smooth, you're going to just take your smooth metal rib and make sure that it doesn't have a bunch of dry clay on it, and go over it like this. Okay. As clay accumulates on the rib, I'll wipe it off. And if I have little things like, you can see it, like this right here, I can take just a little bit of clay and smear that in there if I want to get rid of it. And you just keep doing that on your whole piece until it's smooth. I like doing this when it's leather hard because then it doesn't affect the shape at all. I do use my fingers for a fair bit, but then I'll go over it with the smooth rib. And then let it dry a bit and then go over it again. It depends on how smooth you want it. What I usually do when I'm ribbing is either have a towel, or I always wear an apron. That way I can just hold it rather than have it sit on the table. I feel like it's harder to rib it when it's sitting on the table, unless of course you can reach your hand on the inside. But then just take your time ribbing it and make it however you want. So the piece that I was looking at, I wanted to put handles on. So the next part I'm just sort of going to be showing how I will sort of figure out handles. Okay, so just get you close into my piece here. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just have a random chunk of clay, because I kind of want to feel out where I'm going to place them. If you're thinking about a pot as a person, generally speaking, if you can put it at the shoulder where an arm would be, that's always a safe bet. But before I start making any final decisions, what I like to do is just take a little bit of clay and roll it into a little coil, a little snake of clay, and then just sort of see where I want to put it. Like on my drawing, initially I had it so it was starting at the rim and coming down here to the shoulder. And maybe I'll still want to do that. I'll just place that on there. I don't hate that. to me, it's like maybe a little bit high. Use your intuition. If it feels like it's high or low or whatever, then adjust accordingly. But I will like to initially, when I'm figuring out where I'm placing my handles, is just make some rough chunks of clay and maybe put opposite handles on this side. So maybe I'm going to do it like this. I personally, I think I would like a little bit lower handle than up here. So I'm going to just put it down here like this. Maybe it's going to be a little bit smaller handle. Yeah, I think I like the look of this better than this. So I'm going to do it like this. Think about your handles. The thickness of your handles is very important because some day down the road, someone is going to try to pick it up by the handles. So you have options. You can make it robust enough that it definitely will be handled. Or you can make it too small so that people can't pick it up. But whatever you decide on, the thinner it is, the more likely it is to crack. And especially when I was looking at Greek ceramics, a lot of Greek ceramics has very delicate handles and they protrude really far from the piece. So in this case here, I'm just using the Greek ceramics as a reference point. I'm not trying to make a replica. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the base of my handle. I'm going to make it as a coil.